Yes, welcome everybody. So hi, welcome to ICT Educators New South Wales webinar on an introduction to Thunkable. And I'm grateful to Sam Pennington for doing this for us. Sam's a member of our board, and Helen is here online too, and she and I are going to look after the chat while Sam does the presenting. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. Just in case you don't know who I am, my name's Karen Binns, and I'm the current president of ICT Educators New South Wales. And it's great to have you along. So Sam introduced me to Thunkable last year, and I'm a primary school teacher, and I got really excited about it. The fact that I could write my own app was pretty exciting. And then we used it to in my stage 3 classes and gave them a go at it, and they seemed to manage it. So I was talking to Sam about what webinars we could do, and she volunteered to do this one. So thank you, Sam, and I'm going to hand it over to you now. So if we could all mute our microphones just while Sam does the presenting. It isn't going to be interactive later on, so you can just turn your microphone on and butt in, that's fine. And there will be a recording at the end of the session as well. So thank you, Sam.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm going to present Thunkable because I think it's really useful for stage 3 and some parts of stage 4 curriculum. Some people say, oh, block coding doesn't work in stage 4, but we didn't look at it for block coding. We looked at it for screen design. We covered the elements of coding that we needed to cover with Python. So the kids had experience in coding. We did this, as I said, predominantly for screen design, and the kids made an app for school that was a canteen ordering app. This year, I discovered that you can now do Sprites. I couldn't find Sprites last year. I've written a number of programs using App Inventor, which is, Thunkable seems to be the newer version of App Inventor, and it's cross-platform. There was a classic version, which I think they've phased out, and that was actually App Inventor. So the classic version was only for Android, and this is now cross-platform, which gives us a lot more scope. You don't have to have a phone to test this on. It's now got a full test that you can do within the software, within the cloud-based version of Thunkable. And so, you know, if kids don't have a device, it doesn't matter. If you've got school computers, they can use that. They can use to develop it on their own computer, and they can test it on their Android phone, Android tablet, iPhone, or iPad. So I marked on different devices. I used iPads for kids that had done theirs on iPads. I found it was better to mark it on something that they'd done it on, because size-wise that was more equivalent. Trying to fit all of what you can fit on an iPad onto an iPhone didn't quite work. So I used multiple devices to mark their assessment. All right, so let me share my screen. I've got 2 screens running. So I've got one with the whole app ready to go, and so I can look at it while I'm doing it with you. And then I've got a new one right here. Are you seeing my, are you seeing the screen that says Thunkable right now? Karen, are you seeing? Just nod. Okay. Because I don't have a mark around the edge saying that this is the one I'm sharing. All right, so I'm going to create a new app. So you can all see, I hope. Right, okay, cool. All right, so this is going to be Breakout, and I'm going to show you how you can do a Sprite application. Or bricks, we can call it bricks this time. Okay. All right, so it'll load a new project. Now, if you've used, I'm going to have to minimize everybody. I'll put you down the bottom otherwise I won't be able to see my own screen. So at the moment, all I can see is me. So if someone needs to ask me something, you'll need to put your mic on and just ask, and that's okay. All right, so on the screen at the moment, what you can see is, I'll see if I can make you down the bottom. All right. Oh, that's better. I can see some people now. I like to see a few faces. All right, so what you can see at the moment is your screen. There's only one screen. All the components that you can add to your screen are on the left-hand side, or left-hand side as you're facing it. In the middle is the screen that you're going to design, and on the right-hand side of the page is the properties. So for every object that you place on that screen, it will have a property associated, lots of properties associated with it, such as text size and background color, buttons might have. They have text name, they have screen names and what they're called in code, which is different. So we're going to look at that first of all. So I'm just going to grab my app that I've designed is on the other, well now my app is not there, which is not what I was hoping. All right, so we'll start with me putting on I've just got to grab my breakout, it disappeared. As soon as I opened a different one, it disappeared. All right, so what we're going to have a score at the top, we're going to have a canvas, and then we're going to have a little section at the very bottom, which will contain 3 buttons, one to start the game and 2 buttons to move the paddle right and left. Now, normally when I make a game like this, and I've done it in an app inventor, you can drag the paddle across the screen with your finger. I haven't quite worked out what drag looks like in this application at the moment. I'm still working out the finer details. So I went with buttons that you press down to move the paddle, and I thought that was the best way to do it. Okay, so first of all, when you're searching for a component, so for example, I need a label or a text box. It doesn't matter what you use particularly, but you need a label or a text box to display the score, for example. So I'm going to look for I think it's a text box. So this one, I'm going to put a score on the top of the very top of my screen. I'm going to put a text box, and the text box, there's 2 there. There's a label and the text box. If you want to show some information, you can use a label or a text box, but I'm just going to use a text box, and I'm going to put it onto the screen. This is going to be, this is going to start off and have just a 0 in it. And I'm not really sure why it's so large. It's supposed to be smaller.
Yo, Mama said on a webinar.
Okay, I think I need to make that a I think I need to make that a label. Didn't work. Try label. Yeah, that's it. It's a label. All right, so a label also has a text component, and I'm going to make it 0, and I'm going to make it 24 point size so you can see it. Oh, it's not big enough. 32. Yeah, 32 is what I had. Now the next component I'm going to add is the canvas, which will take up predominantly most of the screen. So probably about 80% of the screen will be the canvas. So I didn't realize that why I couldn't find sprites is they weren't under sprites anymore. They're under canvas. So once I get the canvas onto the screen, I'm going to move my label at the top. I want my score here, and I want my canvas here. And at the very bottom, I'm just going to have one more thing, which is going to be where I put my buttons for movement. All right, the reason why I couldn't locate the sprites is I discovered they're actually located under canvas as like a separate addition to that. And I just discovered it because I got a notification on my Android tablet. Someone had posted a video on YouTube on Thunkable that was about, what was the game? It was Space Invaders. And I went, well, Space Invaders need sprites. So it must have sprites. And I haven't seen many. I only think there's 2 videos on YouTube that talks about sprites in Thunkable. So it must be a fairly new addition. It was one of the things that I thought it was missing when I first used it. All right, so under the canvas, I need a horizontal bar to hold my, my buttons. So I'm going to go look for horizontal input. So I need to search here for horizontal. I'll try that at the very bottom. If it doesn't go where I want it, I'll just have to, it's not going to go. I'll put it at the top, and then I'll rearrange everything. It's easier sometimes. It's not there. Where is it? I've lost it. Okay. I just can't get my horizontal row to go where I want. Sometimes one thing is a little bit hard at times to get it to go where you want it to go. Like it now, it's not where I want it at all. I'm going to delete my row to start with and see if I can get it back to the way I had a screen. Oh, I've lost everything on it. That's great. Good start, Sam. I've got my screen. I'll try again. Let's go for label. I'll try that again. Label. So label. Okay, and then I'm going to put a horizontal row underneath it. That's better. and put my label at the very top. It's really, once it goes light blue, you can only just see that that's actually how you get it to move. You just make it go light blue, and then you can drop it. One of the things is my row is way too big. I need to make it smaller. Width. Okay, so height, I'm going to have it fill the width, but I don't want it to be all the way up. So I'm only going to put this as pick one, you pick absolute size, and then it allows you to put in, I'm just going to call it 50. And now I'm going to put the canvas in between the two. That way I can get access to the canvas better. Right, I want it to go in. Okay, if I put it there, it's currently between the label and the row. Yes, that's how my screen is supposed to look. Right, so if I take the label now, I like to, being a teacher, I teach coding from year 7 up to year 12. I teach software design. I like my students to label things the way I want it displayed in the code, the way I want it. Like I want to read in their code that it's actually called something. So I can call it score. So that I know when I go to the code blocks, it's actually labeled. Otherwise, it's just way too hard to find. They got 20 buttons or 20 things on there. You don't know what they're called. Okay, label. I've got to give it, there's actually a text component for this as well. The label needs to be 0. And I did this earlier and it disappeared. So, okay, so 32 point. All right, so that one's done. Now this row down here, I need 3 buttons, and that's all that's going to be on the screen. Okay, button number 1. If you're trying to follow me, I talk quite quickly, so if you want me to slow down, that's okay. I can do that. Otherwise, you can get the video later and go over it. This button is going to be called Start, and it's also going to say Start. Sometimes when I'm labeling buttons, if I want to say that this is actually a button, I'll put something like BTN before it. So a good way of naming things is that's a button. So button start means that object is a button. All right, one more thing. 2 arrows to go right and left. I'm going to need 2 more buttons, but I'm going to add an icon to both the buttons that I do next. So there's one there, and then there's going to be another one here. All right. Oh, that's not the one. Okay, so this one I'm going to do a background image. I actually downloaded all the pictures that I need for this afternoon. I already did. I downloaded them. So let's see if I can get this background picture. I need to upload some files into here to use anyway. I'm going to just start with Breakout. All right, so my left arrow is this one. If it's huge, which it could well be, and it didn't do it, did it? Oh, there it is. It worked. It's got a left arrow, and I don't want any of that color. So I'm going to choose a transparent background, and hopefully I'll just get the button that I need. And the word button needs to be removed, like so. And I could make that a little bit bigger. It's not huge. Oh, actually, let's see if I can make it bigger. No, it won't do it with that. It won't do it with font size because that has nothing to do with it. Let's see, background image. I probably needed to choose I'm going to stretch it a little bit. Contain. Oh no, that's too small. I think stretch would probably cover. Yeah. Okay, I think the best choice for this is going to be stretch. It's not going to be big, but at least it'll look like an arrow. All right, the second button will be I don't need a color, so that's going to be transparent. And the word button can go. I don't need that text, white or otherwise. I need nothing, and I'm going to put a background picture, which will be my right arrow. There you go. Give it a moment. Okay, so now I'm going to choose the stretch option, and then that's probably the best I'll get out of that. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. Does anyone want to ask me a question before I go into the blocks? Because I actually don't think it's going to take that long to do this, but then I want to show you some of the assessments from last year that I got. So whilst I'm taking a pause for a quick drink, ask a question if you need to.
Sam, you can now build multiple screen apps. It was just that you're not doing multiple screens today. Is that correct?
Oh no, I don't. I'm not. But I'm going to show one that has multiple screens.
Cool.
Yeah, I picked one of my students' assignments out this afternoon to show.
Okay,
it has multiple screens.
Yep.
I mean, I could do. All I'd need if I wanted to make multiple screens is when you finish the blocks on one screen, you can just load another screen to keep going and then add to the score. And if it was a global variable, you could add it up. So it's pretty good. All right. So are you ready for me to go to the next page?
Sam, can I just ask, the canvas, can you colour it? Can you add a graphic there?
On the canvas, yes, good question. On the canvas is a stage. And I'm not done. Yes, you're right, Lynn. I'm not done with the canvas. I need to go and do some more work with that. So let's go back. Let's go and look at the canvas a bit more. What we need now is we need to put the sprites on there. That we need to put some sprites. So this is the bit that I found a little bit fiddly, but I did get something useful out of it. So I'm going to go to the stage because that's part of the canvas, and there's nothing on there other than the Thunkable thing, that little, whatever you call that little beaver. So you've got Sprite Types, and I'm going to need, for my program, I'm going to need 1, 2, 3 different Sprite Types. So the first, I'm just looking at my other one, I'm going to need to rename this, and you've got a balls group. So you can have a ball group. And obviously there's only one ball. So I found the idea that it was a ball group a bit odd, but you know, if you want to have multiple balls, I suppose you could, and then you could have a second or third ball. So I'm going to call this ball group. Okay, that's the first one. Can
you go back to your main screen, Sam, please?
Which screen am I on now?
Because all I see is your face. I can't see your...
I can see the whole screen.
Screen as well.
Is that right now?
Has everybody else got the Thunkable screen?
Yep, it's full screen.
I can see Thunkable. Maybe just change your
All
speed.
good for me.
Maybe I'm pinned. Maybe my face is pinned.
I'll work it out.
Okay, so now the ball group. Inside the ball group, there is a sprite already, but I need to put, I mean, this is the sprite that's there already, and I don't really want that sprite for this. I want a ball. So I'm going to have to change that in a minute. But before I do that, I want to add 2 more groups. The group I want to add is the bat group and the brick group. And then I want to add one more, which is, I'll do all the adding part. Okay, so the ball and the brick group. The brick group makes more sense because there's going to be lots of bricks and multiple bricks. Okay, in the ball group, I need to add a picture. I'm going to add a new picture. So I'm going to go back over to the right-hand side, and I'm on the ball group. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm on ball group. It's still stuck on brick group. Oh, here we go. Up the top. If you scroll up here, I've got ball. And see, already in ball group, it has one sprite associated with it. Although it's not the one I want, it's going to allow me to add more there. So if I click on this, this is not the sprite that I want. So in ball group, I need to add my ball. And then I'm going to remove the one that's there. It's like the default. I'm hoping this ball does not have a white background. It may well do, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. So I can remove the Thunkable icon there now. So there's my ball group. It makes more sense now that it's actually got a sprite. And the sprite's on this sprite's actually there. You can see it, which is nice. There it is. I can modify it. Yes, I can change things. Then I can change the background of I'm assuming that when I'm on the canvas, I can change lots of properties of the stage, such as the background. I mean, I could put a background picture on there. I forgot to get a background picture, so I'm just going to make it black. The one I do have a background image, but it's inside my other application. I do need to make this ball smaller. So I'm just going to resize it a little bit. Would be a good size. I normally resize it manually and then I highlight it and I change, and it doesn't like it when I do that. It never likes it. It always makes me undo the whole thing. I like to center everything mathematically. Being a maths teacher, I like to make sure that it'll appear back in a moment there. It's probably, well, it's not right in the center, but I like the numbers not to be weird numbers like, you know, point something or other. That'll do. That looks fairly well in the center. That's my ball. All right, so now I'm on the back group. I'm going to go to the back group. What you might notice is the only thing that's in there is this picture. So I'm going to need to get a bat. Upload files. Bat. This bat comes from, I got this bat from Game Maker. I had all the icons that came with Game Maker when it used to be free. I've got that bat for here. I'm going to pull this bat onto the stage, and that will create an instance of that sprite. So what I like about this, I can talk about object orientated a little bit in the sense that I've just created an instance of a sprite. And I talk about that in my older classes quite a lot. And so it gives them that idea that we are talking about objects on the screen. I'm going to resize it a little bit and try and place it about where I want it. Okay, it's close enough. If I go to try and change that, it'll probably get all messy. So that's the bat and the ball. It's quite a large bat, but that'll do. And the last one's the brick group. And this is where it gets fun, because I can have multiple instances of bricks now out of different colors. All right, so the bricks, I need to upload the 4 brick colors. Oh, I also got these from, I also got all of these bats from Game Maker. I like them, they're cute. I needed to get some bats, and I was trying to find some decent ones using the Google image search where you modified for reuse. I couldn't find any that I liked, so I went back to Game Maker and grabbed all the ones from there that I already had on my computer. And one more, what have I got in yellow. All right, so here's the 4 sprites. I don't need the little Thunkable one anymore, so that goes. Now, what you can see in Brick Group is there's nothing on the screen that represents this. So what I can start doing now is I can start putting some of these on the screen. The problem is, as you can see, it's only showing the yellow one right now. So I'm hoping I can remember how to make, I don't now remember how I got the other colors there. There's one yellow one. Oh, I know what to do. You go to the yellow, see the yellow one, how I've got yellow brick group, how I've got yellow selected. If I just change to a red right now, when I hope this works. Oh, it's red on the screen. I actually want yellow. It's all right. Change it once you get it on the screen. You can change the color. It'll show it in up here. It shows it as the color that it's supposed to be. I could name all of these too if I wanted to. Probably should be a good girl and name them all. All right. If I want to get them sized the same, I can just use a bit of maths and make sure they're separated by the same amount. All right, and the next one is I need at least 2 more bricks that are multicolored. So let's see, I need to grab that. I'm going to change it to blue. I bet that changes the one on the screen to blue. It just did. All right, I'm just going to grab this one. And, oh, that's the bat. Oops. Sorry, Sprite 5, go away. Okay, brick. No, not bat, brick. Brick group. Let's see what color I get. Oh, yellow. Okay, so I'm going to change that to red. Red. So just pull out the sprites and then change the color. And then you'll have multiple instances of these sprites. It's just a good way of introducing the idea of objects. Okay, so, and one more for the moment. I'll just do 4. That's all right. Doesn't matter. Once you've got your code working, you can do as many bats or many bricks as you want. Okay, there's my 4 bricks, and that will be the green one. Now, these are all named, and you can see they're all in the code. Well, sorry, the bricks are all named. I can name these, I think. I can go ahead and name each one. I'm going to call it green 1, just so we all know what they're supposed to be. Red 1. And then if I had more of them, I would just name them accordingly. Okay, and then finally blue. And I'm glad that Lynn asked a question at the moment she did, because I nearly forgot to do the sprites, and then I would have had to go back and do it. But her question about the canvas is good, because it reminded me that I needed to finish the canvas before I went to the blocks. You can always come back and tweak it. All right, does that look like a game? Does that look like what Breakout looks like to you? All right, it's a start. It's a good start.
Or Pong for the old school people.
Oh, all right. Well, Breakout is an Atari game. It's called Atari Breakout, and other people tried to emulate it. When I learn a new coding language, I write this game. So I've written in Breakout, I've written in Scratch, I've written in Game Maker, I've written in one other thing, Android App Inventor, and I've now written it in Unity as well. So it's my go-to app program because it's easy. Okay, blocks. And you'll recognize that it looks very much like Scratch. When you pull out one of these side pieces, you get these click things, okay? So I'm just going to go to blocks on my other screen. Now, here we go.
Sorry, Sam. Just at this point, because somebody pre-asked this question, they asked, how do we do this for stage 4, because it's now not text-based?
Well, I already asked. Yeah, my answer was to before that I would do text-based coding as well, and I would use this for screen design. So you're just using this for. I did it with year 7. We did it with year 7. So they're coming in from primary school. You don't know what coding their primary school teachers have done. This is a good way to get maybe everyone on the same page, working on the same thing, and then use it for screen design. It's great for that. And then do your text-based coding with Python or something. That's what we're doing. So we're using Grok for that.
Yeah, and that's what we just needed to say, so that people who come back and watch this later have got an answer to that question. But also too, it's a good way of differentiating it, because like you said, not every primary school is doing coding yet. They're meant to have started last year, but you know, some primary school teachers have never done any coding whatsoever, so they're still learning. So they may still be playing with robots and doing what they can with a dash robot, so they've not touched anything like Scratch yet. So while we're playing catch up in the next couple of years, this will work. And then if the kids have already done heaps of coding in primary school, they'll get the incentive out of making an app for this. So I think, and then we can, those kids that aren't following the program as fast as everybody else, this is a good way of differentiating it.
And some of them still had trouble with the whole concept of coding, that even in blocks in year 7.
Exactly.
We know vast variety of kids and standards. You know, kids in year 7 have coded before and done Python or other things before. I've got some kids writing an app to help his disabled sister in year 9, and with some interactive features that she can use with RFID tags. And you've got that level, and then you've got kids who can't do block, who haven't done any coding.
So just remember that in the primary school, there's no compulsion to do coding. So
no, that's right. Yeah,
follow the syllabus, but some schools don't have devices that they can do it on. So while they need to sort of talk about algorithmic thinking and do algorithms, they don't actually have to have done any form of coding on a device.
You can, I think you can do it on iPad.
Thanks, Karen. Hi.
I think you can do it on iPad as well. I think or a tablet. I think you could probably do this on a tablet if you had a keyboard attached to it. Or I think it would work on a tablet quite nicely. If a lot of schools have iPads, I think it would work quite well on there. But I think what Philip is saying is that some primary schools don't have access to the devices full stop. So they might be using a robot with onboard coding. So it just depends. There's no standard in the primary school curriculum of exactly what you have to do and use, except that you have to be exposed to it. Would you agree with that, Philippa?
Yeah, the syllabus is designed so that it can be taught without any devices, so that for those people in remote areas that don't have access to good Wi-Fi, for schools that don't have any devices at all, and there's a lot of those. I mean, it's getting better, and I think COVID was certainly
True.
moving along. So yeah.
Yeah, so high schools for the next few years are still going to have that problem where they'll have kids that haven't touched any of this. So you've got to start with block, I think. But anyway, that was just to answer the question that we somebody pre-answered.
Yeah, to have some coding in high school. So
I think that starting with block gets everyone on the same page. If they've not done anything, then they've got that, and then other people have got experience in it. That's okay. It's funny because I probably wouldn't do it with year 8, but I'd definitely do it with year 7. But we're doing BBC Microbit with year 8, and we've just done the Grok learning BBC Microbit crash course, and that's all in Python. But then if you go to the make code page, it's all block, and it also shows Python and JavaScript out of the block. But I've noticed it's slightly different, the way it writes the Python code to what they've just done in Grok. And I was like, oh, so we're going to do a Microbit challenge with that in the next term. I'm making them do something with that as well. Okay, so
I found that as well. I thought it was my bad coding skills.
No, it's very different. So I might have to use the Python interpreter to do the coding instead of using make code. All right, so I'm going to drag out. The first thing I'm going to do, because that's the way I've ordered my my window, is I'm going to create a variable to store the score in. Okay, so that's the one thing I wanted to do, is put score, and it's going to be, I'll give it a name. So I'm going to call it score, and I'm going to put a math, I call it a math block, but I hate it when it doesn't have an S on the end. I'm going to put a math block in there that has a 0, and 0 is what the score is initialized to at the beginning of the program. Okay, so this is I think this is a global variable. You can actually create 3 types of you can create a variable that's within the app, a stored variable, which it's a bit like when you use cookies on a website where it'll remember the thing that you've just done. That's kind of like that. And then there's also cloud, but I've only used app and stored so far. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is when you click the start button, what actually happens? Okay, so we're going to grab a control block, and I'm going to create when start button click. I've just got to find it. Oh, actually, I need to go to the start button, which is down here. Do you know I didn't label my other 2 buttons? So I don't know which one's left and right. It's probably button 1 I better go back and label that. See, that's what happened when kids don't label things. And you're marking it, you don't know what they're trying to tell you about. And then that's me, bad coding. And David Grover's there, and he'll pick me up on my bad coding if I'm not careful today. Won't you, David? Okay, so button 1 is my right button. See, it says right. It's not my. So I'm going to call it right. I'm going to call it right button like that. Not the best naming convention, I'm sure. Button, and then the other one is button 2 is going to be my left button. All right, left button. Okay, back to my blocks. Hopefully they will have noticed that I've changed them. Okay, so in button start, that's the one I want. That's where you get when button click. So I'm going to drag this block out from the sidebar, and I'm going to, now I want to move my ball. When I press start, I want my ball to start moving. Some of the parts of this is mathematical. It's about angles. And if you think about breakout, the ball normally, you can either have the ball start on the bat and then move up any direction, probably within, I actually worked out some angles for this. So it comes out like this. So like you can talk about angle of incidence as equal to angle, the incidence. You can use this in science. You could use this in maths. You can use this in lots of different areas. So if you're doing stage 3, you get to do cross-curricular a lot more easily. You can tie in your maths and your science. Here I'm trying, it's more just for coding if I'm doing it in digital technologies. All right, so I need a move block, which is under motion. It's blue. So I need to find the move. Maybe it's under, I've lost it. I've probably lost it. No, move. Oh, I just found draggable, which means I could have made the bat draggable. That's something to remember for next time I do this. All right, I need to get my, I need to find my block that says move ball. Oh, where are we? Control. Fence. No, look, it should be motion. Can you see move? Oh, there it is. Move. So I'll grab this block. I'm going to stick it in there. Yes. It clicks and then you know it's right. And then I'm going to choose my ball, which was the other two sprites that are on the screen. So let's go back and rename them like good little Vegemite that I am. There we go, ball. And the other one, because I'm here, I am going to make Sprite 2 the bat. It is the bat, isn't it? Blocks. All right, so now I'm going to pull this. This is ball. Got the right one now, ball. Okay, now I want a decent angle. I'm going to have 160 degrees to about 400. I've kind of worked these out. We can tweak these later. But the other thing is when I designed this before, on my design, my ball is actually on the bat. I actually decided to have it start on the bat and then it goes up. Instead of dropping, I've got it going from here upwards towards the bricks, which kind of makes it a bit easy to hit all the blocks, I must admit. Okay, all right, so now we're going to set the ball's angle in an integer range. So we're first of all going to move the ball and then we're going to set some angles. Okay, so it's moving. Oh, this is its movement from X to Y, actually. The move ball is moving, but then I want to set its angle that it's moving at. So the next bit is, I think I can just pull this block out. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry, throw it out. Throw my block out. Okay, I want a motion, and it's a move ball again, and it's setting the ball's angle to, okay, where is it? Where's my ball's angle? Come on, ball, where are you? Set ball to, I cannot find angle. Anyone see angle? No. It'll be there somewhere. How about direction? Angular velocity, no angle to. I want angle, that's the one. It's green, looking blue. Okay, set the ball angle to, and I need a random integer in here. I need to set it for, like, otherwise it's just a bit boring if it doesn't like go, if it goes to set amount, it'd be too easy to play. So you want it to change. So I'm going to grab a random number. First of all, I need a random integer, and I just need to put it in place of the angle to 30. So it's going to choose a number between. And the ones that worked for me were 220 to 360. I played around with it. We can tweak it again, and we'll talk about the maths later if we can think of a better way to make some of these objects move. Okay, now I need a set. This bit took me ages to get. Set ball speed, so it should be blue, and it should be set ball speed to, set ball speed to 100, I'm going to make it 150, and it's got to be pointing direction. So whatever ball speed, whatever direction it's going in from the angle, set the speed to match that. So that should, let's see if it works anyway. I don't know if it's going to work yet. So if I click on live test, I'll do that again. Live test. Oops. Okay, so far so good. I've got to, I'm only getting, it's interesting. I'm not exactly getting pictures there. I can't get to the bottom of my screen where my buttons are because my screen's not big enough. Oh, there it is. Start. Oh, it's working. And for some reason, I have a wireframe of pictures and there's no bouncing at the moment, and there's no, there's nothing else that I've done yet that makes it bounce off. I will just change screens for a moment. New share. Okay. Share. All right. Let's have a look. I just want to show you what this looks like when you've got everything working, because I don't know why that came out weird. Hopefully you can see my other screen right now. This doesn't normally happen. You're not meant to get, it's meant to show all of the pictures on the screen. But there's the object. I can move this, even my buttons aren't showing today. That's interesting. That's not happened before. There you go, it hits the balls and they disappear. So
I wonder if it's because you're sharing through Zoom that's not coping.
Yes, I'd say so. So it's interesting. So what has it done? It's rendered them to a basic shell. At least it doesn't crash. Okay, back to sharing this one. Share. All right. Okay, so we've got that going back to blocks. All right, so is there any questions about the first bit? All right, so.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it took a while to unmute. Would you recommend, like, before doing this, that students have done Scratch before? I mean, can you start from blank doing this, or?
Oh, I would be doing like the first thing I did, and the workshop I did last year, I did the basics. Today was just, this is how you do sprites, because I only just discovered sprites. And last year I did like a calculator to do the area. I did a couple of other basic ones before I jumped into this.
Okay.
So you wouldn't do this. This might be their assessment that makes something like this, and you might have stepped up to it. I wouldn't jump straight into this your first lesson. No, I'd be doing something much simpler.
So I'm just thinking for stage 3 students. So
Philippa, the first one I did with stage 3 is in the tutorial. It says one where you write the app and you hold the phone up to a common object, and you get the app to recognize that common object. So if I'm holding up a soft drink can, or I hold it in front of a laptop, when you push the button, it says, oh, that's a can, or that's a laptop. And the kids thought they were really smart doing that. And it's just one of the first tutorials that's sitting in Thunkable itself.
So had your students done Scratch before?
They'd done Scratch in year 4.
Okay.
So I also did one where I had a speech to text. So I'd made some buttons, and I had a student who was annoying me for not sitting down, being quiet. So I made a button just for him and said, here, listen to this. And it says, sit down and be quiet. And I had all these different buttons just for him. He thought it was hysterical. That was my first application. The very first application I wrote, I did in 5 minutes while I was eating my breakfast. After Amanda Hogan, one of the board members, asked me to do this last year, it took me 5 minutes to write my first app. But then I'd used App Inventor, so I kind of knew how things worked. I found lining things up on the screen can be a little bit problematic when you have to, and that's the bit that took a long time to explain to the kids when we were doing their canteen food ordering app for their assessment, is how to line up. You might think that your screen is lined up, and then you put it onto my phone and it does not look lined up at all. Because it looks lined up on your phone doesn't mean it's going to look nice on mine. So I had to teach them how to make things look nice on any device. It took a little while, getting horizontal and vertical dividers to like a little table of that, a little grid to show where all their icons were, was the only way to make it look really nice on any device. So that was good, talking about multiple devices and how something looks. All right, so now I need to find, I've got a little bit, one of the things I would like to do next is I want to look at the left and right button and moving the paddle backwards and forwards. That would be, I would logically do that next. So I need to go to my left and right button. So, okay, my clicker's not great. When the button, not button start, but the button left is pressed down, when there's long click, there's touch down and touch up. When it's touched down, I want that one, okay? And I need a duplicate of this anyway for the other one. I can just copy and paste it. And I meant to copy. Why isn't it pasting? There's another one. And then I can just change this to be any of the buttons that I've made. So I want the right one as well. So when either of those are touched down, I want the bat to move. So I'm going to make this bat move. So motion. I'm going to set this piece. So I'm going to put this one here, and I'm going to change, that was under motion. I want to set the bat, and I want to set its X value, and I want to set left is that way. So I've got a -25 off where it currently is. So where you think of, and when you think about making apps or making games, think about it's not mathematically the center like we have the Cartesian plane, the X and Y axis. It's not in the middle. it's always like this, and the top corner is 0, 0, because that's how the pixels go on a screen. They go from 0, 0 to whatever the size of your screen is. Okay, 0, it might be 600 by 800 or 800 by 600 by 800. You've got to, it's good to know how big your screen is, because that helps. Okay, I'm going to copy this one and paste it in again. Now when it's not connected, it's grayed out. Once it connects in, that's good. This one needs to be, it's the same thing. It's just that when I press the right one, I want it to go plus 25 over to the other side. Okay, there you go. So that's 25 minus 25. They're just the, I'm just going to my other screen just to check that I've got both. There are any more in there. That's all there is for making the bat move across the screen. And if I was to live test again, you'd see it's going to look funny, because it just is going to look funny. I need to scroll up a little bit. They're not showing on the screen for some, but they are there. There's the movement. It's working now. And as we can tell, it's just rendered it to a basic graphic. It looks like something from the 1970s. Well, I guess it is a retro game, isn't it? And that's the other thing is I like retro games because they're simple. And Pong's a bit too simple, but Pong and Breakout and those sorts of games and little maze games, they're quite simple and they're fun. I mean, I enjoyed them in the 80s. All right, so now the only other thing that we have to work out are collisions. So think about what collisions there are. There's ball against bat, and there's ball against brick, and there's ball against edges. And all of those need to be coded. All right, so the next one is, I'm going to do ball with the bat. That's the next logical one to do. All right, so looking at events, it's not, just a second. I want to collide with, so I just got to, okay, blow my nose. Okay, so it's when something collides. So I'm going to take this one out. Now, see ball group, I'm going to change, the ball is going to collide with the bat group. So I need to change this to bat. Okay, so this one took a little bit of work to get, but I got there. All right, basically from here, pretty much all of this code that's just here and this one, the second one down, those two with a bit of tweaking are the two pieces of code that I need. And I just modified it. And I do a lot of copying and pasting. Oops, I just dragged that out from the inside. I'm going to put this in here, and then I'm going to grab this one. And if you want the kids to grab it from the side, that's fine. That you can do that, but this is just a little bit quicker way of getting your code and then checking all the settings. So set balls, angle 2. Now this one, I tried a -60 to a 60. And I was trying to get that effect so that you've got your 60 here and your -60 on that side. That kind of worked. So you've got your effect that the ball is going to hit and bounce off. All right, so the next bit is, let's see. Okay, I think that's enough to test it, isn't it? I've got to do the side, the edges as well. So I might do the edges. So I've got ball group collides. Now I've got ball group. Yeah, I've got ball group collides with edge. So let's do the edge ones. Okay, with any edge. So I actually didn't I could do any edge, but I chose to do a left and a right edge because I wanted that bounce to come off at particular angles for left and right. So this one is going to be my left edge. And guess what? It's pretty much the same code again. It's all fairly similar code. So I'm just going to copy that one, and I do need to tweak it slightly. So once I got it, it just took a little while to get this bit right. Once I got one or two of them, I was able to get all the rest. It just fell into place quite easily. So let me just move this over here. So set balls. Okay, this is the bit that took a little bit. If you think about where it's going off the edge, it's going like that. So you've got the side hits one way. I'm going to have it at 180 and 220. And that's just what I had it. I only had a 40-degree variation between the two. I can change that. If we're playing with it and we think, oh, that needs to be changed a little bit, we can just fix it. When you test it, that's when you start tweaking your angles. I'm going to copy and paste this And did I get a second one? Yes, I did. Now I want to do the right edge. So, well, actually, that was the left. I want to do I want to do the right one now. So the right one is here. It's hard when you're mirrored. Which side am I pointing to? Right edge. Okay, so my right edge, I also did the same. My right edge was 180 to 220. Sorry, my left edge was minus 60 to 120. Oh, I just lost half my screen. Just scroll down. Scroll back. Come back. I'm going to scroll. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can fit these alongside each other better. Sorry about that. I'm trying to fit them all on the screen. I'm just using my 15-inch laptop and not my my big screen because I need to see that. All right, so just move these along a little bit. Give myself a bit more space. I get really I like to have everything nicely lined up. All right, so is that so far? That's all I've needed to do. I've only got 2 more things to go, and then we can test it hopefully. All right, so I've got ball group, left edge, right edge. Now I need, bottom. Something different happens with the bottom. When it goes outside or past at the bottom edge, then you lose points. When it hits a brick, you should gain points. So let's do bottom edge now because we're doing edges. So copy, paste. We're going to make some changes to this. Okay, so this one is bottom edge. Now I'm just going to scroll and have a look at the bottom edge. There's also top edge. Top edge will bounce off the top, but bottom edge will do something with the score. I also need a top edge one. So I'm going to, actually, I'll do it first. I lost my mouse. Okay, this is top edge. This is easier. So top edge is just a matter of making it bounce. So I'm going to do a 120 to 180 bounce off the top in degrees and set the ball speed to 150 in pointing direction. So you've got some other choices here. You've got pointing and moving direction. I tried these out and pointing seemed to work better. I had moving for a little while, but it just didn't seem to work the same way. So I looked at my App Inventor one to make this, and I looked at the ladies' Space Invaders and one other person's, and then I ended up going back to my App Inventor and recreating the code from there once I understood the wording that this program used compared to App Inventor, and then I was able to recreate it. I mean, it took an hour or 2 to sort it out. I was kind of figuring out, well, what's different between this code and the one I did before. All right, and now I need to do bottom edge. And now we need to put something about the scoring here. All right, this has more. Okay, this one doesn't have the same bit of code in it. Taking that out. All right, so ball group is going to hit the bottom edge. All right, so I need a move command. So first of all, when I started my code, I set up that the ball was going to move. I'm going to get this one. I'm going to get all of these. Oops, no, I'm not going to get all of them at once. I need to copy all of this, but I don't think I can copy the whole lot at once. No, I can just do one at a time. So I'm going to set the ball, when it collides with the bottom, you need to restart really. The ball's movement, not the whole game. So I haven't put lives or anything in this. I only gone as far as putting the ball back to where it was in the first place. Okay, and I want to set the angular velocity again from a random amount. I want to put it in the bottom. All right, and the next one is I need to set the ball in the pointing direction. So all this bit's the same, but the only difference is I have to add something for score. So now I need to change the score. So going to my variables, I've got change. This one here, change app. I'm going to do it by -1. This one's going to be change, and I need to change the name in here. I need to put the score in there. So I've got app score, which should be change app score. I need to put this, where's my app score? There it is, that little thing. Oh, I just touched it. It's just there. I need to pull it out and I need to pull it down to the bottom and put it in where name belongs. And that will take, so now I've got the app, basically my app, local variable app score is going to be changed by -1. So whatever my score is, which I haven't done on the bricks yet, because that's all I've got left is the bricks, it'll take the score down from to -1, and it'll display the score in that label that I had. Let's hope that I did the right thing when I made a label. And there should be a score. Now I need to change the score from, where is it, score text to. I need to change the score's current text at the moment. Okay, I need to change this score to whatever the value of at score is. So I'm going to go and get my variable, and I'm going to put the variable inside there. So it's in place of name. Nothing will come up other than the at score. So that will change the score by -1. I'll take whatever you, hopefully if it goes below 0, you could make the game stop, but I didn't go that far with it. All right. Okay, so we've got basically the ball and the bricks to do, and then we're done and we can test it. All right, so we've got one more to go. Okay, so I need an event block. I need a ball group. We need another collision. So this time I'm going to take the collision ball group and I'm going to collide it with the bricks. Where are my brick group. I called it bricks before. I'm assuming, okay, and then you get these two little colliding 1 and colliding 2. So one of the, this is interesting. Wait, I'll explain it when I get to this bit, because this is something you'll find. I saw this in one, there was only 2 videos that I watched. There's only 2 on Sprites that I could find, and one mentioned colliding 1 and 2. I think one is the ball and one is the bat, as far as I can remember. The 2 objects that are in this group as the ball and the bricks. It's ball and bricks, not bat and bricks, is it? Ball and bricks can collide with one another. So one's the colliding 1 and one's the colliding 2, as far as I can work out. Because you want to remove one of them. You don't want to remove the ball, you want to remove the bat. So if ball is the first one, then bat's the second, the brick's the second one, I beg your pardon. And so that'll be colliding 2. All right, setting, set ball. Okay. All right, I need to set the ball, the ball's angle to. Okay, let's set the ball's angle. I'm going to, when it hits it, I'm going to give it a random integer. And I'm just going to borrow one of those from there, and I'm going to pop the random integer, which you can find under the math block if you haven't. It's just underneath here. Okay, it's just there. I'll pop it in the bin. Just dropped it. All right, so now I need to change it. I'm going to change the heading of that ball after it collides between 90 and 270. Okay. Oh, apparently that's 90. Right is 90 on Thunkable, and 0 is up, then 90, then 180 is down, and then across that way would be 270, and then up again to 0 or 360. Okay, so that's the way the headings work. All right, so now I need to do this ball speed to, again, I need the ball speed in pointing direction, and the speed can be the same. I mean, you can change it how you like. You can make the ball go faster when it hits a brick. You know, the bounce off for a ball to be different. You could be more rubbery if you wanted it to be. It's up to you. Okay, so, all right, what we need to do now is we need to remove something. So let's look at looks. We need to check, oh, add and remove. This is not in, this particular add and remove is not something in App Inventor. This is included in something else, but add and remove, it's on its own. I need to remove something in particular. Now, I'm not removing the ball. I'm going to remove what the ball has hit, which is the other object, which happens to be the brick. Okay. Now, if I hit a brick, it changes the variable, which is app score by 10. You get a lot of points for hitting it. I've just got to check my app score by 10. Change set app score, or change, sorry, wrong one. Change app score by 10. Variables. Change app score by 10, 10. And then all we have to do now is update the score text, so you get more points. I've made it that you get more points for, basically you get a win at this game. I like making games because then I can play them. Have you tried playing? I'm really terrible at Flappy Bird. So I've made my own, a couple of, like in Game Maker, and I've made it in, I could make it in this now that I know Sprites work. I've made it in Visual Basic because I can slow it down to a speed that I can actually play. And I actually get more enjoyment out of making a game, even a simple game, than I get out of playing them. I like the problem solving. And like for me, I like maths. So as you can see. All right, I think the game is ready to go. And I'll live test. Let's see how we go. Oh, I need to scroll down a little bit. All right, start. Oh, I just lost. Why is it not moving? These should be moving. I got it. Okay, so some of the angles aren't great, as you can see, and I need to move my see, some of the angles aren't perfect, but I've only got one left. So you could end the game at that point. And that is how you make a game in Thunkable. Unfortunately, it's not perfect because you can't see it properly. I do have it on my tablet, but if I hold it up, it might get lost in the background.
So
lots of questions,
Sam,
I'm sure.
So Sam, what would, if people want to get a copy of this code, so they could just copy it without starting it from scratch? If we generate that link and put it in the chat and people can get...
Oh, I can do that. That's easy. Copy it and put that in the chat.
If Helen's still there, we'll add it to the feedback form maybe as well.
I've lost my chat. Oh, there, I got it. I had to close it so I could... Right, there's my thing. Obviously, the maths, the bouncing isn't perfect. I'm going to leave that to people to tweak, to get those bouncing off different sides, the sides and the balls, the bat and the bottom, and you can add, then you might want to restart the game. Oh, David's saying something about, he's saying, okay, David Grover says something about the draggable. It appears Sprites have a draggable radio button property. Yeah, I only just saw the draggable. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it, but I did see the draggable, which means I can go back and make my bat draggable with my finger. But I figured, oh.
Yeah, you've got to still turn it on in properties.
Where, sorry?
In the property of the sprite. I'm not speaking about the block.
Oh, and the property of the sprite. Now, where do I find that?
We'll go back to one of the sprites you did.
Yeah. Sprite. I want the bat. Yes, I want the bat.
And then go down in the properties. Is draggable.
Oh, David, thank you. Now I can make that draggable. All right, so I could redo this with a draggable one. I mean, I don't mind my buttons that I did, but if you wanted to make it so that you could drag the bat with your finger, that would be much better. Thank you. There you go. That's awesome because now I know.
Collaboration at its best.
Yeah. So stage 4, I kind of thought the game was not, I mean, I like making games with kids. They enjoy it the first time I did a game or any app back when I had a year 11 class, I did an app and showed them how to do a drawing app just on their Android phones because they mostly had, they were boys, they mostly had software design students that they mostly have Android phones. I did it on my tablet and they had their app on their phone. They go, I actually have an app on my phone that I made. And they still get excited when they see it on their own device. Now, this is the other bit of this that I need to show you. So, okay. Where's my camera's up here? Oh, if I can get this. There's a Thunkable app on there somewhere. It's in the, okay, I got a new phone last week, so I'm still getting used to it. Just in the top right, well, it's actually the top left corner of my screen, but you can see it's top right. There's a Thunkable app that you use to look at your projects. Now, if it's on an Android tablet, like this one, I've downloaded what's called the APK and installed it directly on my device. It will run natively on there. I have yet to figure out how that works for iOS. It gives you a file for iOS. You can download your project as an iOS app, but I haven't installed an iOS.
You use Thunkable Live, it's called, on iOS, because I downloaded it on mine when I did it with stage 3 last year. So you just need Thunkable Live for iOS.
Look, There's the pro. Oh, can I just get that screen? Wait a minute.
It's because of your virtual background, Sam.
I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
Hang on. I turn off my oh, did I just stop video? No, virtual background. I'm not really in space. It's not going to let me. I've got to stop sharing first. Stop sharing. Stop share. Okay. Oh, hello. All right. So now I want to change my background so that I can show you that. Just no background. Back to the boring room. Okay. All right. Can you see? There's the app, and I'll just start it, and it's working. I can't play it while I'm looking at it. See, it just bounces over the
Sam,
word.
multi-cameras, come on.
I can't play backwards. Not that good. Okay. Oh, the new feature that's only been there this year that I've seen is that you can actually view. It's still loading it, but I can actually view the project. Or I can view the code on the phone as well. That wasn't there last year, but unfortunately, oh yeah, there it is. You can see it. Can you just catch that?
Yep.
You can see the codes there. It's all on the phone as well. So it says, congrats, your project's live. Check out our tutorials if you need help. Okay. All right. So any questions? Does anyone want to see the application that my students did last year? Just, if you've got time, I mean, you're welcome to go, but I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed presenting because for some reason, I really like presenting things. Would you like to see that? Yep. Hi.
Oh, hi. I can turn my camera back on.
Yeah, turn your cameras on.
So when you, I noticed in the thing, it's got that publish thing. So if you publish it, then other students can actually get that game?
Yeah, I've published most of my apps that I've done are all public. So I guess I'm not on the screen right now. It's not shared. I'll just have a quick look. On publish, it says new. It says, oh, you can publish it. And no, this is publishing it as in publishing to the App Store or the Google Play Store, or you can also, if you have a pro version, which is new, it says new on the screen. I can see that. It will publish it to a web app, and that's a pro version. But you must have to pay for that.
Yeah, okay. So when the girls do that, they can just access the game through the Thunkable app on their phone?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Now, they're all iPhones, so...
Yeah, that's how I did it. We published to iPads last year. They were just iPad mini, so it was kind of like a phone.
They've changed that too with your screens. You can choose... I'm just going to share my other screen right now because that's the one that's got an open project on it. I noticed, let me see. You can change the app settings, but it allows you, I'm not sharing, am I? Because I haven't pressed share. I noticed when I was making a thing the other day, which screen are you getting?
Canteen food one.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I want to go back to when you design an app now, you can choose whether it's a phone or a tablet. I chose phone because I wanted to make it for a phone because it was less space to work with, and I kind of just wanted to make it phone size. But there was a choice. That choice, I didn't see that choice last year. This new publishing to the web store, app store is new. I believe that Sprites might be new, but I'm not sure. Because I didn't see them last year. I did look around for them, but I didn't stumble across any Sprites because I was trying to replicate what I'd already designed.
Sam, I couldn't find them last year either, so I'm not sure.
So maybe they've added Canvas now. Maybe they can figure out how to, they've got to work out how things are going to work on an Android device and an Apple device, and there's probably some conflicts between the way each of those works and how they're going to implement them in a cross-platform design. So that's probably taken them a little while to implement. I'm assuming Thunkable, is it an MIT thing? Given that is an App Inventor is.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yes,
Sorry, David.
I was just saying that Thunkable is developed from the MIT app. Yep.
Yeah. There's still App Inventor's still out there though.
So there's a question, Sam, in the chat that says, which alternative would you recommend for stage 5 IST?
Oh, good question.
if you wanted to do apps.
I'd have to think about that. I mean, I did this when I first saw it with a year 11 class, and then the next time I went to do it, I was told that I shouldn't be doing that. And I guess I probably shouldn't have been. I just wanted to do a calculator app. I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I do Python for year 9, and we do Python, and then we've also got Arduino Explorer. So that's what we do with those. What I'm trying to do is in year 7 and maybe do some basic Python and do this, and then year 8 we're doing the BBC microbit, and then 9 and 10 we'll go more into Python in they're doing like a choose your own adventure, text-based adventure. I can't think of a good one. If you want to do something like this, I don't know what I'd use. I just can't think of a good alternative for 9 and 10. Does anyone else know of one?
I've only ever seen some, because a lot of the people I know are Apple schools. I've only seen Xcode used for app development, but you've got to have Apple devices for that.
My XD one is nothing like what you've just done, Sam. It doesn't have any of that block coding in it. It's more the web design, as you were talking about before. But I am curious to see how that Canteen online order one works. If you can.
Okay, if I can get, I just picked out one at random. I hope it's one that works. I couldn't find mine. We gave them a bit of a scaffold, the whole lot, because some kids just couldn't cope with the variables. So live test. I'm going to have to change the screen.
So while you're doing that, Sam, just to answer Philippa's question about the best program for year 3 for app development, I would say that Thunkable is the simplest one to do for app development for stage 3, having done it myself. I've also used Swift coding for app development, but because Swift is text-based, it's too hard for stage 3 if you're looking at the majority of the cohort. Whereas if you've got a bit of a background in Scratch, this is an easier jump. But getting stage 3 to design and think through how an app works needs to be mapped out before you jump into the coding and that. So I have some a slideshow presentation that helps kids think through an app. It's Apple based, but you could put it in PowerPoint and do an Android version. It's just working through the design thinking process. This is the best if you actually want to do the thinking behind an app. This is the best one I've found so far.
Okay. We did a lot of work on.
It's so similar to Scratch, or
exactly, yeah.
That language that kids are really familiar with, or mostly familiar with at that primary school level.
Yeah.
It's much of a jump, and I think we were talking about this earlier, Karen, that it's a nice extension. So if you're like me and you've done a whole lot of Scratch with your kids, it's a great kind of where to next platform.
Especially if you've introduced Scratch it like we did at our school at stage 2. By stage 3, the kids are looking for something different, which is why I did Swift with year 6. And that's just because they have iPads in year 6 for no other reason than that. But Thunkable, when the kids go and we're doing passion projects, and they go, I want to build an app for this. Or this term we did for science in year 6, we did, they had to build an app for a purpose, and it was part of the digital technologies actual syllabus outcomes. We did the design thinking process behind an app and why you should do it, and what would you want out of it, and then yes, this is the next stage of that then. Anyway, sorry, Sam.
I've done a live test. You're actually seeing the screen, I think. Is that correct? I've got screen sharing on. You're actually seeing the Canteen ordering app, but unfortunately, because we're on, that's working. I've got that picture, but I'm not getting their pictures. So I've got it on I'm not getting their pictures. So I'm going to have to see if I can, it's very small. Actually, I have to put the whole screen. It's really hard to see.
So maybe what we can do, Sam, is take a video of you using the app and add it to this video when we put it up online.
Well, I'll show you what their screens look like anyway, because you can see the screen. You can see the images on there, but it's just not streaming that the live test isn't working very well. They've got, these are all buttons with an image on them. They've meant to use the horizontal and rows, like a grid, to put their icons in so they're equally spaced. Some kids, the screen design, we did a lot on screen design. We did a lot on apps and how buttons and option, radio buttons and all of the things that elements of a screen design, and they just made a mess of it still. So they choose things for sale. You click on these icons, they add up the total bill, and then you say complete order, and it gives you an order number, because our canteen always gives you a ticket. It's all very manual at the canteen. It would be really nice if you could turn their app, what they do, into, they get an order number generated each time they use it to give the next number in order. So that's basically what they did. And I mean, we wanted 9 items in it, and then you could each one had a price value. And if you go to blocks, just so you can see this person hasn't named, I just picked one. Okay, hadn't named their buttons, which I prefer all of them named. I couldn't find my example one because I have like 100 apps on my phone that I need to delete from last year, because every time you test it, it becomes a copy to you. So you've got a copy of 100 apps. I have 4 digital technology classes, so I have get a lot of marking out of this. But as you can see, I've got this person used a cloud variable. They used an in-app variable as well, but you could have used a stored variable for this one. So it will store the cost, and then it adds up, and it increases the total for each item depending on its cost, and it sets the cost in each of the buttons as you select the picture. And then it adds it up, and then it generates a random number. We'll just get to the bottom here. See if I can find it. This one adds up the total here and displays it. Now this one, once you click that button, which is the one that goes to the next screen, it actually navigates to screen 3. And on screen 3, it just shows you the order number that's been randomly generated, and it's coming from Cloud Order. So that's the app. That would be like a global variable.
Right.
Passed from one screen to the next. Yep. Someone said something. Does someone want to ask a question?
That's Russell.
Lynn asked if you could share that code as well.
This one, it's not very good code. I would try to find a better one to share.
Maybe if you take some photos or screenshots of some code, we can attach it to the.
Yeah, there's a couple of really good ones. I've got 120 that I need to go through and delete and keep a few good ones for this year. I just can't. What I will do is I will quickly go and show you. Would you like to see the actual assessment? I will have it on my Google Classroom from last year. I can show you the assessment if you like. Is it still being shared?
Yep.
I don't think I've archived it.
I'm just conscious. Sorry, conscious of the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so maybe we can share the rubric, or however you've done this, in the video, or we can add it to as an attachment when we send out the when people put their and we would really like it if you could fill out the feedback form, and then we can send you then these, or we can put them on the website somewhere.
There's a sample. Like, this is not the assessment. This is what I started with last time when we did the workshop. I started with like an area calculator. That was the first one I did. That just shows how to create that. That's not my notes, but it's based on what I taught my colleagues, and she wrote that. She does great screen, like puts together great notes. So she did that based on the one I did for last year's workshop, which was actually face-to-face. This is still a good way of doing things. You don't have to leave the comfort of your home.
So Sam, can you collect a few of those resources and share them with Helen, and we'll get that out to people as we collect addresses and things.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right. I'm finished. If anyone has any questions,